like boobies. You like boobies. Vicky likes boobies.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Now, are there any damn questions?
Have you any idea what the street value of this mountain is?
This is a nice fish, you know? Big fucking eyes, but a nice fucking fish.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, Nerdities proudly presents to you Wrestling With Ourselves, the home of the longest reigning, defending podcast and internet trios champions of the world. I am 1/3 of said champions, co-host of the show, the alpha of alphas, the lord and master of the universe himself, Justin, as always joined by my hetero life mate, the god of the dad bod, the king of chaos,
Kyle.
Rounding out our trio, he is the saint of the cynics, the Van Damme of the body slam, the mushiest of the mushies. Hashtag
Vin.
Squish Lord.
No. D20 money.
Oh, Jesus.
Boogie Thunder.
Right, Scoots.
Scoots gonna scoots.
And our young lion, the $1 million mensch himself,
Joe.
now pours. Bow down and prepare yourself for the greatest mind in all of professional wrestling podcasts. He hails from parts well known. He is the mouth of the East, God's favorite atheist,
Mr. Mike Fantasticalness. I'm working on mine.
All right, a lot has happened over the last few days in the world of professional wrestling.
It's pretty surprising shit, if I do say so.
Yeah, we're not going back in time, right? There's enough that happened in the last, 42 or 48 to 72 hours.
Well, we have to talk about Full Gear,
Okay.
but that was only the week before.
Okay.
Other than that, everything else pretty much spirals out of what happened this past weekend.
Using the word spiral is never a good indicator of what happened.
Things happened, you know?
I'm so interested to hear our takes because they're not going to be the same, I don't think.
I don't think they barely ever are.
Unless we try to write something, in which case it's 70% the same thing.
Sure. I'm trying to find... okay, this might work here.
Better work here.
No,
Where else is
I
it
was
gonna
trying.
work?
I was trying to find a good breakdown of Full Gear, but
Full Gear?
I'm having a hard time. It was only a fucking week ago, 2 weeks ago.
I think the wrestling show needs a producer, too. Joe, you want to produce the wrestling show?
No, I usually have it up, but the site that I use, it doesn't have it. What the fuck?
Now, this is AEW's pay-per-view, right? You would actually have to put money, unlike the WWE model now, where
Yeah, here we go.
if you have
I got it.
Peacock.
Yeah, so you pay. And it's $50 bucks. It's worth it. In my opinion.
How many they do?
Not. It was 4. I think it's 5 now a year. It's better than when WWF was doing 12. And then remember when they did double? When they did the brand split and they were like, we have 2 pay-per-views of them.
I mean, that was the time you want to deal with Peacock, where people can just turn it on. It's like the third major show of the week.
Yeah. All right, during the 0-hour pre-show, Eddie Kingston defeated Jay Lethal by pinfall to retain the ROH World Championship. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Buddy Matthews by submission. And MJF and his surprising tag team partner, Samoa Joe, defeated the Guns to retain the ROH Tag Team Championships. Adam Cole's music hit, the Guns were distracted, and Cole emerged with crutches and his left ankle in a boot. Joe caught Colton Gunn in a coquina clutch for the submission win. After the match, the Guns attacked MJF's left knee with a steel chair. Cole watched on from ringside, unable to do anything. The medical team checked on MJF, who was taken away in an ambulance. That was the end of the pre-show. At the beginning of the show, they showed a video package of what happened to MJF prior to the main show starting. And then a children's choir came out on stage and sang part of Christian Cage's theme song. Christian Cage is doing the best work he's ever done in his career. And the fact that he's got this whole...
He's barely wrestling.
Barely wrestling. And the fact that his gimmick is that he's always hitting on people's moms, making fun of their dead dads, and now his group is called the Patriarchy, and they were sung out by a children's choir.
Shorzy? He does have a very hockey slut style going on. I must say, I've only seen a bit of footage of him lately. He might have the douchiest ring attire ever.
Oh, his Steve Jobs fucking black turtleneck shit?
Sleeveless turtleneck is a phrase that shouldn't exist in the world of fashion, probably in the world. You can cut fashion off the end of that. But yeah, he's wearing it in the ring, and it works so well for a heel. Holy shit, is that a great bad look.
Sleeveless turtleneck's a good slang term for circumcised penis.
That's a turtleneckless turtleneck.
So it was...
Wait, does he wrestle with it on the whole time, or does he eventually have to take it off?
No, he takes it off. He takes it off.
Man, if he could work the whole match looking like that, heel of a lifetime.
So it was Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne versus Sting, Adam Copeland, and Darby Allin with Ric Flair at ringside.
Woo.
Good match. Sting, Adam Copeland, and Darby won. Next, there was an announcement about the AEW World Title. Tony Schiavone was at the top of the stage with AEW referee Bryce Remsburg. They brought out Jay White with the AEW World Title that belonged to MJF. Tony told Jay to settle down. Tony said that he hates to say this, but unfortunately MJF is injured and he will not be able to defend the title here tonight. The fans booed. Tony said the match between MJF and Jay White has been canceled. Tony said that by default, the new AEW World Champion is Jay, but out hobbles Adam Cole. Adam Cole was on the stage with crutches and his left foot in a boot since he broke his ankle. Cole said there's no way that White is leaving with the championship. Cole said that if MJF can't defend the championship, then Cole will do it for him. Cole said, one leg or not, the main event for the AEW World Championship is Jay White against Adam Cole. Baby. Jay White was happy with that. White bragged about taking out Cole before. He'll take him out for good. White took the AEW World Title with him. Very interesting story on a pay-per-view. I don't think I've seen anything like this.
I think this is going to become a bit of a topic for the show, but it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
To have a guy get injured on the show, and then another guy who is already injured come out to defend a title that apparently is now automatically dropped if someone can't compete. Meanwhile, that same title and a completely different title were shelved for 5 months each, and there were interim titles laid out. So,
I'm assuming
no matter what, Jay White wouldn't have become the champion in that situation.
No, he would have become the interim title, or the interim champion.
But he wouldn't, because he didn't beat anybody to get it. So he still would have had to fight somebody for the interim title.
No.
You don't just get it. You don't just get the title.
No, that's not true. Who did they put it on? They put it on someone. They gave someone an interim title because they had fought the champion, but the champion got hurt. I think that's... Isn't that how Tony Storm got it? Not this time, but the previous time.
No, didn't Tony Storm had to beat somebody for it, I thought.
No, because I'm pretty sure she got it and then defended it and then took on Thunder Rosa when she came back. Or shortly after to solidify herself as the actual champion.
No, she never did. Thunder Rosa never came back to fight her for it. What ended up happening was Jamie Hayter beat Tony Storm for it. And after Jamie Hayter took the title, then they made it the official title. It was no longer interim. And then they basically, I guess, post-dated or whatever the hell you want to call it, Tony Storm's championship run and made it a legitimate championship. They removed the interim.
Gotcha.
Back to this current nonsense. Are MJF and Cole still best buddies?
Yes.
So, the story sense I could see here is he's sticking his nose in where it doesn't necessarily belong, thinking that he's defending his friend's honor. He's going to get the belt, and then it's going to force them to fight again.
We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there. The AEW International Championship match saw Orange Cassidy with Hook versus Jon Moxley with Wheeler Yuta. Cassidy would win to take the belt or retain. He was the champ going into this, right? Yeah, he retained. Very violent, as you expect a Jon Moxley match to be. Next up saw Hikaru Shida defend her title against Toni Storm, who would later get the win and become the new women's champion. Super happy, love all the work Tony's doing. I love how, like, after she won, it cut to black and white. This whole, like, 1920s starlet gimmick is my favorite thing. Eddie Kingston was interviewed by Renee Paquette. Eddie said he was looking forward to the Continental Classic tournament, which we'll touch on in a few minutes. Eddie said that he's going to put the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship and the ROH World Championship on the line in its classic tournament matches. Kingston said that way the winner gets a Continental Championship too. The tournament starts last week on Dynamite. Next was a tag team ladder match. Saw Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus La Facción Ingobernable, Rush and Jalistico, versus FTR, versus the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King. And we would see Ricky Starks and Big Bill retain their titles, which I didn't think was going to happen, but hey.
I don't get them as a team. It's not like I like them or don't like them, but to me, they're like on the same level of tag team champions as whatchamacallit. I don't even remember what they were called anymore.
The Guns?
Jurassic Express?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they're fine, but I don't want them to be my champions.
I mean, it is what it is. The tag division's gone downhill.
It's not, I mean...
It doesn't get the attention it got when the company first started.
That's correct. And it is very painful for me to have to deal with that.
Painful for me, too. TBS Championship, a triple threat match, Chris Statlander versus Sky Blue versus Julia Hart. We would see Julia Hart get the pin and become the new TBS champion. Good for her. There was an AEW contract signing. Tony Schiavone was in the ring while a fan behind him held a Fire Tony Schiavone sign. Tony introduced the newest member of All Elite Wrestling, and it was Will Ospreay. Ospreay made
big deal.
Huge deal. Ospreay made his entrance wearing a black jacket along with a white shirt. Fans popped for Ospreay as he got to the ring. Ospreay took the pen that Tony had, and Ospreay signed the contract. He cut a promo saying he's got a couple more dates with New Japan to finish out, but then he's going to be completely All Elite. And he looks forward to Wembley next year. And if they don't fuck this up, this could be a defining talent for them. Big if, though. If they don't fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting to the point now where they don't just have, like, big names that are on the back end of their careers. They're now, like, they have, like, younger guys who have become bigger names, and those guys aren't just the same style of wrestler. So, like, when I think of it, I think of, like, MJF, Jay White, Will Ospreay, and Adam Cole. And none of them really wrestle the same way. Which I think is awesome. And then you throw into that Darby Allin, who's not really on their level, but in AEW fandom has a very big following. There's like, and Orange Cassidy as well. There's enough guys like that to keep the company going.
You can add the next two guys to that list, because the fact that you're overlooking them is upsetting. The Texas Death Match saw Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have better feelings about one of those guys than the other.
Hangman has his moments. He just needs the spotlight on him.
Blessings.
Swerve is absolutely going to win the tournament. Especially after this match. If none of you have watched it, or have at least seen the highlights of it, please seek it out.
I saw 2 highlights of it. One was not even a move.
Yeah, the one highlight Kyle's probably talking about is there's a moment in which Swerve is busted open, and Hangman's underneath him, and Swerve is bent down, and the blood is just pouring out of Swerve's head, and Hangman catches it in his mouth, and then would then get up and spray it like Triple H. Because that's the thing. Adrenaline, I guess.
I mean, keep in mind, this is the same guy who, right before COVID happened, was drinking beers handed to him out of the audience. So, he had to be told not to do that.
Yeah. Swerve would go on to win this match, but Jesus Christ, a half hour of brutality.
So, is that, I don't know how many times they've wrestled each other, but Swerve has won every time, right?
No. I believe this was the third, and this would give Swerve his second win.
Okay.
The first match, I believe, was Hangman's.
Okay.
Then
I like this, though. They need to strap a rocket to him, as they would say.
He's going to win that tournament. Next, saw Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, the Golden Jets, take on the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, with their title shot on the line. And would you believe, the Golden Jets beat the Young Bucks flipped out, and since they said they're stepping away from wrestling, and they ended being the Elite on YouTube. This is all work. As we all know, they just signed new contracts. They'll be back soon.
Were they getting a vacation?
Yeah, they're taking some time off. I know they were pretty beat up. Then we would see Adam Cole come to the ring. Jay White would come to the ring. They're about to have their match. And MJF comes driving through the arena with a stolen ambulance. And he hobbles his ass down to the ring. And he has a match with Jay White. And by God, Maxwell Jacob Friedman remains the champion.
I was hoping you were going to say, like, he pulls out a hypodermic needle sprayer and just sprays down the ring.
Well, I mean, they do change the ring apron and all that after bloody contests. So that was Full Gear.
So hang on. So that's another thing that I don't think... Emery, cut it out. That's another thing that I don't really think makes a lot of sense, but because of everything that's going on around me, again, I have lost my train of thought. So can you please just say what happened at the end again?
Max won.
Right, yeah. So Max winning, I mean, I understand it, but I don't think it's a smart storytelling point to have a guy that you just brought in from another company that was like their top guy who chose to come to your company, and another guy just made the same decision. Like, I don't think it was smart to kind of bury that guy.
He's not buried.
By having your champ, he's not a credible threat as a singles wrestler without his stable.
Correct. But this is where we can talk about how AEW makes bad decisions. They weren't going to give Jay White the title.
No, and I don't think that they should have. I mean, we talked about this separately.
Right.
Outside of the show. But
what else were they going to do?
No, I just mean the whole, like, injured, leaving, coming back. So he didn't just beat Jay White. He beat Jay White injured. He beat Jay White after they said, "Oh no, please don't wrestle."
Yeah. But, like, he did it with the help of the diamond ring from Adam Cole. Like, it wasn't like it was the cleanest win.
Yeah, I guess.
Last two more bits of AEW news, and then we'll move into the WWE stuff. QT Marshall announced that he was leaving AEW yesterday.
Seems sad.
To focus more on an in-ring career. Good for him. A lot of people were praising all the work he did behind the scenes and everything, and I say yes, and that's where he should remain. The full lists of the participants in the Continental Classic, AEW's version of the G1, I guess, are as follows. In the Blue League bracket,
the better league.
We have Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia, Claudio Castagnoli, Brody King, and Andrade El Idolo.
I'm fine with all of them.
Solid lineup. And on the other side, the Gold League, we have Mark Briscoe, John Moxley, Swerve Strickland, Roosh, Jay Lethal, and Jay White.
I said this to Justin also. Between Roosh, Jay Lethal, and Mark Briscoe, at least two of those guys need to be replaced.
Okay. Here's my response to you. Have you ever looked at the bracket for the G1?
Yes.
So, like, Toru Yano is a garbage wrestler, but he's in the fucking...
That's not the point.
But no, it is. Listen and
No, it's not.
Let me finish. He's in the
G1's different.
He's in the G1 every year, right? Why? Because they need people to take fucking losses. That's why. So Mark Briscoe is the Toru Yano of this fucking Continental Classic. Now, as far as Jay Lethal goes, I will not stand for you besmirching the man's name. He is a multi-time world champion. And he's super fucking athletic.
Okay.
He could be a dark horse choice.
Okay. Here's what I'm saying. Are you arguing then that Daniel Garcia is the Mark Briscoe of the Blue Group?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't think they're on I think they're on different levels in terms of singles competitors.
I think the way they've been using Daniel Garcia on television makes him the Mark Briscoe for that group, and you can't argue that.
Fine. But I will say this too. Comparing this to the G1 is and kind of not fair because there's more groups in the G1.
But it is,
and I'm pretty sure there's only 4 guys per group.
But it is what it is, though. That's exactly what it is.
But it's basically every group in the G1 is 1 really good wrestler, 2 solid wrestlers, and 1 mid to lower card wrestler.
Yeah, but they weren't going to put together a tournament that looked exactly like it. So they're going to put together their version of it.
Fine, but I stand by the fact that it doesn't make sense for the purposes of what the tournament is supposed to be to create a new title for this. It just pisses me off.
I agree with you. This should not be for... This should be like the G1, and the winner should get a shot at whatever AEW's WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom is.
Yeah, I don't even care about that. If they want somebody to be the one champion, they're taking a belt from New Japan. They're taking a belt from Ring of Honor. They have a belt in AEW. They could put on another person. The reason why they don't want to do that. And I'm not even talking about the TNT title. They haven't... What is it? I don't even remember what the fuck it's called. International Championship or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a title that's name fits the purpose of this tournament.
No,
Just take that 3rd singles belt and put it in this tournament, and that's the Triple Crown. You don't have to create a 4th men's singles belt.
I don't even like the idea of the belts being involved. I'd rather it be for a guaranteed main event spot at the biggest show of the year, like the G1 is. The winner of that gets the main event at Wrestle Kingdom. Awesome. Just like the winner of the Rumble is probably going to main event WrestleMania.
Or you do it like, well, in King of the Ring, in King of the Ring, did you get a shot at Mania, or did you just get a shot whenever you wanted it?
At first, it wasn't even worth a shot. It wasn't even worth a title shot. It was just you were the King of the Ring. It just elevated you. Then they did a title shot for a bit, and then it went away. And then when it came back again, it was just when Booker had it. It did this King of the Ring. It didn't mean shit. It was just a title.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind that either.
I would absolutely. That would annoy me.
If they did it like Money in the Bank almost, but it was a tournament for Money in the Bank.
As long as it involves the title shot, I wouldn't care. I just don't want it to be like, I won this tournament, so I'm the best. And I get nothing out of it except for I put on some really good matches. But I don't need 3 belts in this. I don't need a belt in it. Just give me a guaranteed number 1 contender.
The 3 belt thing is important to me because there's 12 people in this tournament, but only 1 person is actually sacrificing anything because the 2 titles that already exist that are on the line are held by 1 person in the tournament. It's not like 2 different people. It's not like there's a person in the blue group and a person in the gold group that hold those titles. They're both held by Eddie Kingston.
That was Eddie's choice, though.
That's just stupid storytelling.
No, that was what Eddie contributed behind the scenes for it. He wanted to make it a Triple Crown championship.
Which is fun. I agree with you that what you said are also solid ideas. But if you're going with the idea of a Triple Crown championship, you can't... it's dumb to have 2 championships come from 1 person and then just make up the 3rd one.
I agree.
The 3rd one should also come from a person.
Here's the thing, too, though. Like we stated earlier, if Eddie loses any match, he loses the title. Right?
No.
Yeah.
Why?
Because his titles are on the line in every one of his matches. So potentially...
I didn't think that was the case. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. But that's how it works. So it'll swap hands all the way up to the finals if it's not Eddie. And you'll have 6 people who are the new fucking ROH champion.
Is that really how it's going to work? I thought that... Okay, so for those of you who don't know, he has lost already.
Did he lose?
Right. Eddie lost.
I thought he beat Brody.
No, he lost.
Oh, well then, I guess that's a fucking title he lost.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. So is Brody really the champion now? Because it's supposed to be just points.
Don't fucking ask
so
me.
So Brody should have 3 points.
It's beyond.
And he should have 0 points. But if they write the story the way they should write this story, Brody King is going to get disqualified or something, or go to a time limit draw with somebody, so that he only gets 1 point, and Eddie ends up beating probably 3 other people to outscore Brody in points to make it to the final. That's how I would write it.
Yeah, but we all know that that's not how this is going to work out.
And I mean,
overly convoluted.
I also wouldn't have had Eddie lose his first fucking match in the tournament.
I don't know, dude.
But
I could be wrong, but that's how it sounded originally to me, was that they were on the line in every match.
But either way, you have to assume that Eddie's going to find his way back to the final, right?
I guess. I would think. With that lineup, I'm not assuming anything. There's too many good wrestlers in there for Eddie to, and there's no offense to Eddie Kingston, but like, to make it to the finals.
So is there anyone in the tournament that it would bother you if they were a Triple Crown champion at the end of it?
No.
Really?
No. They're all deserving.
All 12 of them, you'd be happy with it?
It's a fucking mid-card title.
It's 3 mid-card titles.
It doesn't matter. Well, 2 mid-card titles and a world title. But it depends on how you value ROH at this point.
Yeah. But I mean, that person would have to defend their title in New Japan as well.
Yeah.
I think
it's fine. Like I said, it's all mid-card, so it doesn't matter. Do I think there's anybody in that tournament that shit's like below? Yes.
Right. But if the idea is you're trying to elevate Swerve by putting a belt on him, or you want to give Jay White a belt to make him seem more valuable to the company, I think those two or Eddie are probably my top 3 choices.
If Jay,
but like, why have Eddie gamble those titles and then still win the tournament? Wouldn't make sense.
No. It's going to be Swerve or Jay White is going to end up winning the entire thing. Especially since White was in a world title match and got kind of screwed, but he's a bad guy, so you don't feel for him anyway, out of the AEW title. And we all know that if Cole didn't get hurt, that this probably would have been where it was Cole versus MJF, and Max was probably losing the belt. Which is why they didn't put it on Jay White.
Yes. And I would if there were different people in the tournament, I would also say Moxley or Danielson have a shot, but they really don't.
They don't. It was announced today who was part of the team behind firing CM Punk in AEW. And there was a name.
Oh, really? I didn't see this.
Yes. And there's a name on this list that is really fucking surprising. So Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful has revealed it was made up of AEW General Counsel Chris Peck, an outside attorney, and the surprising member here, Bryan Danielson.
I don't think that's surprising.
Not with how much Bryan is doing backstage, but just for the fact that Bryan was like, yeah, we got to get rid of him.
Were they close?
They were in ROH together.
They have a lot of history. I don't know if they were friends.
Yeah, that's the bigger question. If you've worked with a guy like that for long enough, and he's been in multiple companies with a guy and maybe seen things he didn't like over that time, and when it starts to rear its head again, he's like, we got to do it. We got to get rid of this guy. He's just not working out.
Right.
Makes the most sense out of all of them.
They are close enough where they did have, like, not like backstage segments, but like shorts, like stuff that they did with like Britt Baker and other stuff. Like I don't know if you guys have seen, they do like car ride video clips sometimes.
Yeah, and they were
of people on the road. I think there was one. I want to say it was Punk, Danielson, Britt Baker, and God, I don't remember who the fourth one was, but doing karaoke in the car, right? And then there was another one of that. I think of the same four people on like a pedal bike thing.
Wasn't Ruby with one in one of them?
Maybe. No, I thought Ruby was the MJF Will Hobbs one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
But yeah.
Let's get into Survivor Series.
Let's.
The night started with the Women's Survivor Series match. Damage Control, the team of Io Sky, Asuka, Bayley, and Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Shotzi. I watched this match, and it was pretty good. Becky Lynch, Bianca, Charlotte, and Shotzi would defeat Damage Control via pinfall. Bayley took a beating throughout that match. We saw Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair hug, I guess squashing any backstage issues they had, quotes. The next match was the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther took on The Miz. He defeated The Miz, retained his title. Santos Escobar would take on Dragon Lee and defeat him via pinfall in their match for the honor of Rey Mysterio. The Women's World Championship match saw Rhea Ripley defend her title versus Zoe Stark. Really good match. Rhea beat her. Then we had the Men's War Games match, which saw Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough versus Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, a returning Randy Orton, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. The crowd popped for that Randy Orton. Everybody loves him. It's good. The faces would come out on top. Cody would get the pin thanks to an assist from Orton. And then Drew McIntyre would leave the ring very angry, storm off into the back, and then leave the building. That wasn't on camera. That's backstage dirt. And then Cult of Personality hit. And out comes CM Punk. And he walks down the ramp, squats Indian style, camera catches him, and the show ends for the viewers. There is footage from fans that would catch all the baby faces in the ring looking really fucking confused. Like,
not work confused?
Not work confused. Like, what the shit? And Triple H, who's in the back, knew all this was going down, radioed to Michael Cole to, like, get to the front of the cage because he wasn't sure how people were going to handle this. So Michael Cole and Corey Graves are now front and center out front of the cage, and out comes Seth Rollins. For those of you that don't know, Seth Rollins does not like Phil Brooks. At all.
As a shoot.
Yeah. Legit has gone on record stating that he's a cancer, and he is...
Yeah, I saved a quote from him this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to waste any more breath on somebody who's been gone for 8 years and has done nothing but try and tear this place down.
Yes.
Seth Rollins.
Yeah. So, like, the fans are catching all this, and they see him, and they see Punk's at the thing, and Rollins realizes what's going on, and I don't care to argue much with the internet people, but the Punk apologists are the holy shit. These people are like, it's a work. No, it's not a work, because WWE wrestlers aren't allowed to curse outside of, like, ass for the men or bitch for the girls. Seth Rollins was like, fuck you, throwing fingers. He's like, fuck you, fucking piece of shit. Corey Graves and Michael Cole are in front of him. Out comes Cody Rhodes from the cage. Sami Zayn's already out there trying to calm down Seth. And Cody's like, just, shaking it off like, dude, like talking to Corey to like, calm him down and shit. And it looked chaotic. So, of course, Twitter is a buzz. And they're like, holy shit, CM Punk's back. And they advertise him for Raw, and details start coming out. WWE PR would come along and tell everybody that the shit between him and Seth Rollins was a work. It's not. Watch that footage. That man ain't acting. He is not happy. It would come out that only Triple H was aware of Punk even being there up until an area was cleared for Punk to walk to Gorilla and his music to hit. As of Sunday morning, Punk did not have a contract.
I'm struggling to think of how this is a good idea on multiple levels. It's already been proven it's tricky to work with Punk, whether or not it's him bringing the problems or other people don't like that he's righteous and he's doing the right thing. Whatever, I don't have enough details. Right. That's a problem. Then there's the fact that you tell nobody they're going to be working with this guy that some of them have had issues in the past with.
Yes.
And you fired him.
Yeah.
His contract didn't come up. You fired him. Vince fired him. The company has fired him in the past. He has had a bad time with the company.
Not to mention the personal shit he had with Paul Levesque himself.
Yeah, I don't...
running with
I know it's my tagline, but this reeks of desperation.
So, okay. Ultimately, I have a lot more to say about last night, Monday Night Raw, than I do about Survivor Series. But to not make this conversation at Survivor Series all about CM Punk, I very much liked what they did with the men's War Games match, where they did the whole thing where, like, Randy didn't show up. Then Randy shows up at, like, the very end of the match.
Yeah.
The thing about CM Punk is that, in a way, and this is kind of what I said about MJF coming out hurt and beating Jay White, is different than MJF just beating Jay White. Like, CM Punk coming out at Survivor Series is different than CM Punk coming out at Survivor Series after Randy Orton comes out at Survivor Series.
That's what my hit was too.
I think it kind of undercuts Randy coming back. But
kind of. Completely does.
But I did see clips of, like, the interaction that kind of... It made me think maybe Randy knew something or heard something, but maybe not. Because there was a clip I saw when Punk came out. I guess it was after they went off air. He was talking to Randy. Like, he was standing there talking to Randy, who was sitting in the ring. And it was like, it almost seemed like Randy went and got a chair to sit on in the middle of the ring to watch Punk come out. Which is why I think he may have been one of very few people outside of Triple H who knew something about it.
Well,
but it seemed like he was happy to see Punk, and it seemed like Punk was happy to see Randy.
Well, we'll get into that in a second. So, they would advertise CM Punk, the return of Orton, and Cody Rhodes having a major announcement, all for Raw last night.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to do the first hour of Raw commercial free. Oh, so Punk's opening the fucking show. Okay.
I love that we're starting this talking about this.
Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Cool. I'm going to tune in to Raw for the first time in like 4 fucking years to watch an episode of Monday Night Raw.
I did the same thing last night. Oh my God. I told Joe, he said, is it okay if I watch this live? Because he's going to be on and he's probably starting the show.
And I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. I can hear what he's got to say. I'll see what they set up for the rest of the show with him. And then I'll fuck off, and I'll either jump back on at like 10:30 when he comes out again. And then, however they set up the night, right? I know how they do the rundown of that show. I've watched it for decades. So I was like, okay, cool. I sought out a way to stream it because I don't have cable. So I signed up for a free trial of fucking YouTube TV to watch it live.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought you had Peacock.
Oh no, they don't stream Raw live on Peacock because it's on USA.
Okay, I guess that makes some sense.
So
I
have so many feelings about this entire show.
I have no clue, but I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Okay, so I will say, the show did not start with CM Punk. However, in general, right, as much as it pissed me off, and as much as I hated it, and as much as they did not do it to the way AEW would, which is to give the fans the service of the guy you most want to see comes out to start the show, right? They did it intelligently because money and viewership is the most important thing to WWE. They set up the Raw After Survivor Series to be not only you're going to have to wait to see this guy, but we're going to bring out other people who will constantly make you think he's going to come out to interrupt them.
So was it an hour of teasing?
Yeah.
There were probably 4 different points that I thought he was coming out before he came out.
Yeah, Rollins had a thing, Orton had a thing. They weren't going to bring him out to deal with Rollins right away because I still think that Triple H had to do a lot of fucking coaxing.
Well, I think Cody opened the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out. He's like, "What do you want to talk about?" And the crowd started chanting CM Punk. Cody's like, cool. He's like, he says like a one-liner about Punk being there, and then goes into what he was there for, and that was to announce himself for the Royal Rumble. And then Shinsuke Nakamura came out and kicked. Well, first he was in a fucking video, and then surprised he was in the ring and just kicked the shit out of Cody.
Which is fine, because, I mean, I like it.
It's fine.
I like that feud. I like the tease, because the 2 guys who worked in AEW at separate times, could very well be the first guy he comes in to fight, especially if he's coming in as a heel. Cody would make a lot of sense, because Cody doesn't have a title.
Yeah, fine. Whatever. They do the Orton thing because he interacts with Rhea Ripley and Judgment Day. He has a cute little line because he's like, yeah, I'm sitting at home. I see all this stuff. Rhea this, Rhea Ripley that, Rhea this, the queen, the mommy this. He's like, well, Rhea, daddy's home now. And the crowd was like, oh, shit. And like anybody that knows anything, she's going to catch a fucking RKO soon. They set it up. It's going to happen. She's going to take one. No Punk there. Whatever.
Yeah.
The show sucks. Even with those 2 highlights, and they weren't even that great.
Well, the wrestling on the show sucked.
Most of the show sucked. The only...
Well, setting up future feuds...
You could...
was good for that.
It's... Watching AEW on a weekly basis and then watching a fucking WWE television show makes me realize how much they don't highlight wrestling. The only positive out of last night was that fucking tag team turmoil match because it set up the Creed brothers as legitimate, hardcore tag teams. But we know how WWE treats tag team wrestling, so it doesn't fucking matter anyway. So let's cut to the fucking point here. CM Punk comes out at the end of the show.
Oh, you're not going to talk about Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn?
Yeah, whatever.
And Jey Uso?
Seth Seth, he drops that line about, I think they were chanting Punk. And, and Rollins goes, all right, get it out of your system because that's about all the time I'm giving him.
Yeah. I don't want to waste another minute or another breath on that hypocrite, I think is what he said.
So he called him a hypocrite. Which, yes.
Yes.
So then we get to the fucking end of the show where Punk comes out.
Yes.
And he cuts a promo. And it is the most fucking watered down, generic promo I've ever heard in my life. It made people like Dante Martin in AEW look like they had the skills of fucking The Rock. It was so... No, Kyle, don't even. It was so, like... It was...
No pipe bombs?
It was not... No. No. Even if the pipe bomb was rusted, it would have had a better effect than this fucking thing. It was someone typed this out for him, and Paul went, you want your money, you're going to fucking read this verbatim. Look, I didn't want him to come out and be like, fuck AEW, fuck Tony Khan. He's better than that. But holy fucking shit, was that the worst fucking promo of his entire career.
That may be true. Looking at what he has done in his career in terms of promo work, what you just said at the end may be true. I don't think it was a terrible promo.
Dog shit.
Hang on. Because I did this, so if you have more to say on it before I get into this, you can go right ahead. But after hearing that, my first thing was...
How much of that was the promo that he said back in AEW, but like minus all the fun and cool stuff? Almost verbatim.
But not just that. Like, how much he had to hold back because of it being WWE and it being a different rating system and it being like... All right, so I'll just start. You can stop me whenever you want.
Because he's a fucking hypocrite?
I'll just start by saying this.
Okay.
What?
I said because he's a fucking hypocrite? Yeah, all right. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just start by saying this. So, both his debut in AEW and WWE that happened about 26 months apart, they both happened at a return at a pay-per-view in Chicago. He started off both promos by thanking the fans, and he said in both promos that he heard the fans chanting his name, and that's what made him want to come back, right? And then in both instances, he used his popularity in Chicago to get a few cheap Chicago pops in both of the things, okay? Now, here's where it gets a little different. In AEW, his first promo started the show. In WWE, it ended the show. In AEW, he got like 9 minutes, and in WWE, he got just under 7. So he got a little more than 2 minutes less time in WWE, if that makes sense. Specifically, in his AEW promo, he said when he left Ring of Honor in 2005, he left professional wrestling, and he is returning in 2021. So the implication there is that the WWE isn't pro wrestling. But he never called the WWE, at least in that promo, by name. But he also said, when he left Ring of Honor, he left home. It was like leaving home.
Yeah.
When he premiered in WWE, he said, I've changed since leaving 10 years ago. He said, I guess hell froze over. And he also said, about his return to WWE, I'm home.
I'm home.
So he compared so 2 years ago, he compared the place he left to go to WWE as being his home, and implied that he came to AEW because it reminded him of home.
Yeah.
And that WWE wasn't home, and now WWE is his home. And he, in AEW, he referred to WWE as the place that made me sick in the first place.
Yeah.
He said that there were a lot of young wrestlers in AEW that he wished were around 10 years ago, that he wanted to help them, and he came out He named Darby Allin as his first opponent, and he was clearly a face when he returned, right? So all of that stuff was established in his first promo.
Yep.
Why he was there, there's a lot of young wrestlers, what he wanted to do, he wanted to help them, who he wanted to fight first, and what his status in the company was going to be. He was going to be a face. All that stuff in 9 minutes of his first promo. Now, the reason why I have a problem with Punk's promo in WWE is because a lot of that didn't happen in this promo, right? So he threw out a lot of like good throwback stuff to WWE fans, like I'm the best in this ring, on this microphone, even at commentary, which was one of his favorite, like his best audio clips of his career, right? But he also said that there's people, a lot of scared people in the locker room, and then after he put the mic down to the camera, he said, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. So those two things, to me, imply that he's clearly going to return as a heel. He's not going to be a face to start this run. He's going to be a heel, right? But he has he never came out and said that he has intentions of helping anybody. He's making it seem like he's very clearly there for himself. So, like, but also, even though he never mentioned WWE by name when he was in AEW, he clearly referenced them. He didn't even reference AEW in this promo, and I think that's because legally he can't. Like, there's nothing memorable about his time in AEW that he could reference other than maybe his dog collar match with MJF. There's probably no other thing that he could say that people would know about.
I mean, he has...
Unless they watched AEW regularly.
Right.
So, like, it wouldn't make sense for him to even tease stuff, and he couldn't just come out and say the name of the company. WWE would never let him do that. So I don't think that, like, I don't think we can knock him for
I didn't want him...
that. I
didn't want him to talk shit about AEW at all. But I wanted him to come out like Punk. Not like a bitch.
But so here's the problem with the way they brought him in, right? Like, as of Sunday morning, he didn't have a contract, right? Okay, if he's not under contract, how do you set him up for a feud? How do you set him up for a storyline when he's not under contract? Like, you can't plan for how long you're going to have him if you don't have him. So, and it had already been established earlier in the show, he wasn't going to be feuding with Cody or Shinsuke because they're feuding together. And those were two of the people that he was going to be rumored to feuding with if he returned.
Yeah.
He's not going to be feuding with McIntyre because eventually that's going to be with Rollins. Jey Uso is short-term with Rollins. And short-term with McIntyre is Sami Zayn. So, like, all six of those guys are pretty much out of the mix. So unless you're going to have him come out and feud with another heel like Gunther, who's he going to feud with that would matter?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's not an excuse for him not to come out firing on all fucking cylinders. You brought back to your company the dude that left it, took you to court, talked shit about you, then had him eating his own words to come back and fucking hang out because he couldn't hang at AEW because he was acting like an asshole, right? And you didn't use that? How do you not use that to boost your fucking ratings? All you did yesterday was piss off a bunch of people who tuned in that haven't tuned in a while and are like, well, this is why I don't fucking watch. Fucking softball pitched that fucking ball to Tony Khan like the mom at the end of fucking Rookie of the Year. Float. And if Tony doesn't take advantage of it and come out guns a fucking blazing on Wednesday, then he's an idiot. This scenario doesn't happen without someone taking full advantage of it, and they didn't. And all this is going to do is you're pissing off fans who were Punk fans that were following him, not the people in WWE that were excited to see him. They're going to stay there anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 huge contracts coming up this year. One of those people don't fucking like this guy, and you lied to him, to his face, about bringing him back, because as of this weekend, the talent was told, company-wide, they weren't interested in Phil Brooks.
two of the people who were apparently visibly upset have contracts up in 2024.
I wasn't sure. Well, they say McIntyre's had less to do with Punk and more to do with just how he's being booked in general. But Drew McIntyre's his contract is up in like February.
Yeah.
He is not re-signed. This isn't going to help. He's pissed because you were lowballing his offers anyway. How much money do you think they're going to pay Punk? A lot. So that's going to piss off McIntyre. He's not re-signing. I'm fucking willing to put money on it. Rollins doesn't like him, and you lied to him. That's not going to help your fucking case either. He could leave. And his wife's contract is up. If I'm Tony Khan, I put feelers out. And the moment their contracts expire, I'm all over them. Because the play you can make, and Tony's got to be smart about this, and he's got to get a team of people to do writing, and not WWE style, but like help organize those shows a bit better. But you bring in the fucking couple of Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, and it's the fucking Hogan in the NWO moment.
Yeah. I mean, yes,
but Tony,
I agree with everything you just said.
But Tony's probably going to fuck it all up. I have no faith. I have no faith in anybody in the wrestling business right now.
So there's two things. Well, I have a thing about the Tony Khan fucking up thing, but going back to the promo real quick, I still believe that Phil Brooks is smart enough to know his audience. And I think that maybe this isn't entirely the way it came out the way it did, but there's certain things about that him saying to the camera, he's not here to make friends, he's here to make money. After he puts the microphone down,
there was a
certain things like that.
That was a slight dig at AEW.
To me, I'm not saying he's going to near future, but I think in terms of his storyline, they're going to be leaning into it.
I can understand what you're saying about not wanting to, or not even having the ability to place him in anything right away. My problem is, you could have let the dog off the chain a little bit more. And you should have. Especially if that's the bullshit move you're pulling, where in that first commercial-free hour, you're not even using him. At least let him fire up.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. It was bad delivery overall. Like, I saw people saying that was great, and basically, like, my response to them was, if you think it was great, you didn't see the first version of it that happened 2 years ago. That was clearly better. But, like, I thought the setup of it was smart in terms of business. Service, it was obviously didn't have to wait for a whole show. I would have probably liked it more. But then again, and there wasn't really any, like you're saying, there weren't any fireworks. There was nothing to fire you up. You wouldn't want to start a show with that anyway.
No, but
so I don't know.
If you would have started the show with that, no matter what, people left. People dropped off. Their first quarter hour is going to be like super high because everybody had tuned in. But when they realized that Punk wasn't coming, I guarantee you they fucking fell flat off the earth. And it's going to end up fucking hurting SmackDown.
I could see it ticking back up, though, when Rollins came up.
Yeah, but how many people turned back after they left? Is the question.
But to jump back to the AEW and Tony Khan fucking things up thing, I saw people, like, there was a whole thing about people talking about, like, Jade Cargill and, like, why they haven't seen her yet, and basically, and there was a whole thing that Hunter said about that, too, that implied that she really wasn't ready. It wasn't really shitting on AEW, it was just that, like, basically, if you know anything about her, almost her whole career was squash matches. She never had to have the stamina or really the ring knowledge to go a full length, like a 15-20 minute match.
It was...
Like, she hardly ever did it, so...
Female Goldberg.
I understand his point about that, though, like, wanting to make sure she's ready. But from that came internet conversations about AEW needs a developmental system like the Performance Center that WWE has.
Sure.
And they're starting to get those people in place, and, you know, we've talked about the potential for them to use, like, Create a Pro or some version of a company like that as their developmental, which would be awesome.
Or even the New Japan Strong LA Dojo.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how they're gonna eventually, like, actually not just stick around, but be successful in producing well-rounded performers. It's like if they're already focusing on performers and the craft of wrestling, they have a leg up there. If they can focus on getting all their performers to the same level, or not to the same level as MJF on the microphone, but, like, if they can get them well-rounded like that, like, they're going to blow WWE out of order eventually.
Well, they also need structure to how they run a fucking show. Like, say what you will about having writers, it does help. Not saying do it to the extent of WWE, but they need a better structure and order on all the fucking AEW shows.
A consistent booking team.
Yeah, you can't have wrestlers fending for themselves when half of these guys are from the indies and they don't know what to fucking do. Like, the time for that's over. You have a well-stocked roster. Like, figure your internal shit out.
Right.
But that's all we're going to give for wrestling.
All right. Well, /nerdities. Follow us on Twitter @nerdities. Email us at nerdities@gmail.com and check out nerdities.com.
While you're there, fuck yourself. And then go to nerdities.myspreadshop.com. Buy our t-shirts, hoodies, underoos, socks, onesies, whatever the fuck you want. And if you want Disney-related ones, go over to can'tstoptheropedrop.myspreadshop.com. Purchase those. Listen to that show wherever you get your fine free podcasts. Tell your friends about our show. Spread the love. Spread us like herpes. But, you know, better. Sinfulcreationsbyjustin.com. CINNFUL creationsbyjustin.com. Delicious, tasty treats for your mouth holes. The holidays are coming. And things get expensive. And comparatively, my shit is pretty cheap. And you can get mystery boxes delivered to your loved ones. Or even yourself if you have no one else. And fill that void with sweet, sweet deliciousness.
Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/nerdities. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to get notified when new content is coming, because new content is coming. Watch right now our wrestling promos. They're all live and available. You get to see Nerdities wrestling at its finest.
Hashtag the Hungarian Gypsy.
And there will be more coming in the following year. So nerdities.com, youtube.com/nerdities. Fun stuff. Give us a budget. Email us at nerdities@gmail.com. We'll croon, we'll swoon. We'll talk about your business and our product.
Joe will tickle your butthole with his tongue.
La 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 la.
tongues. All right, there have been a lot of opinions tonight, and the opinions in the Nerdy's crew are idiotic and poorly thought, but don't worry, next week's will be far more insulting. Fuck, bye. Bye.
And why should I care?